ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितः प्रज्ञानघनः प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणम् सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। ओम मंत्र नंबर 5। सम्प्राप्येनं ऋषयो ज्ञानतृप्ताः सम्प्राप्येनं ऋषयो ज्ञानतृप्ताः कृतात्मनो वीतरागाः प्रशान्ताः कृतात्मनो वीतरागाः प्रशान्ताः ते सर्वगं सर्वतः प्राप्य धीराः ते सर्वगं सर्वतः प्राप्य धीराः युक्तात्मनः सर्वमेवाविशन्ति युक्तात्मनः सर्वमेवाविशन्ति सम्प्राप्येनं ऋषयो ज्ञानतृप्ताः कृतात्मनो वीतरागाः प्रशान्ताः सम्प्राप्येनं ऋषयो ज्ञानतृप्ताः कृतात्मनो वीतरागाः प्रशान्ताः ते सर्वगं सर्वतः प्राप्य धीरा युक्तात्मनः सर्वमेवाविशन्ति ते सर्वगं सर्वतः प्राप्य धीरा युक्तात्मनः सर्वमेवाविशन्ति ते सर्वम eva avishanti. They enter everything. In other words, they become everything. We'll see what kind of entry that it is. But then sarvagam, all pervasive, sarvataha, at all times, they enter everything. Who are these? Samprapya enam. In the earlier mantra, look at mantra number 4. There he says, Nayamatma balahinena labhyaha nacha pramadat tapaso vapyalingat. Ete rupayer yatate yastu vidvan tasesha atma vishate brahmada. This wise person's atma, tasesha, he is alone, atma, enters brahmadhama. It enters the abode of Brahman. So it explains what kind of entry and who enters. It makes it more clear. Who they said this fellow cannot gain atma. Nayam atma balahina labhyaha nacha pramadat tapaso vapyalinga. These three things, if they are absent, they don't gain it. But who has gained the self, this self, how does their self enter the abode of Brahma? You know, this translation problem. Yad gatva nanivartante tadhama paramam. Having reached where you don't return back, that is my paramdha. That is my supreme abode. That's how they translate. Supreme abode. And therefore they take it literally. I have to enter the abode of Bhagavan. That means I have to go to some loka, Goloka, Saket Loka, or Vaikunt Loka, or Kailash Loka, where Rama is, Krishna is, Shiva is, or somewhere. Whatever is their Ishta Devata. They think we have to enter. And once we go there, we will never return. That's what they think. But nth number of stories we have in Puranas, where this Jaya Vijaya, who were the closest to Bhagavan, gatekeepers, who had the powers to deny entry to Lakshmi. You know, they were empowered. His wife, they denied the entry. And therefore, they were cursed that you go to Bhuloka for 3 Janmas or become Rakshasas for 3 Janmas. That's how they became. So even they had to come back, who are standing right outside the bedroom of Bhagavan, you know, having all control. They had, as I said, they had audacity to deny entry to his wife, Lakshmiji also. They also returned. How am I going to be there permanently? And there are nth number of Vedic Vakyas saying there is no going at all, you know. And if at all you go, you will come back. That is for sure. Anything attained in time T1 will come to end in time T2. However exalted that experience, or however exalted your entry may be into that so-called exalted loka, including Brahmaloka, not only you don't stay permanently, Shruti says Brahmaloka itself is ephemeral. Abrahma bhuvanal lokaha punaravartinoj. Brahmaloka is also temporary. There is a question of your entering into Brahmaloka and then staying there permanently. Anyway, we'll see that when we come to it. Who are they? Samyak prapya enam. Samyak avagam. Samyak means very well. Who has gained the self well. What is that? Gaining well and not gaining well. What does it mean? Samyak and asamyak prapti. That means sapratibandhaka gnanam is asamyak prapti. Apratibandhaka gnanam is samyak prapti. Those who have done enough mananam and nididhyasanam, by which they are free from any kinds of doubts and errors, and therefore samyak prapya. So they have that clarity, and you can say steadfast, or not steadfast, but they abide in this real nature of the self, that aham brahmasmi. That is samprapya. Having gained this clear knowledge, free from any errors, having gained this knowledge, samprapya, what they become? Vitaragaha. They are Vitaraga. Okay. They are Jnana Trupta. Vitaragaha, Vigataragadi, Dosha. They are free from likes and dislikes. What does it mean by free from likes and dislikes? That means before also they were free, relatively, for gaining the knowledge. You can say Vitaragaha Samprapyahen. That, and then Samprapyenam Vitaragaha Bhavanti. Both are true. Freedom from likes and dislikes in the first case. Those who are free from likes and dislikes, therefore they gain the self. That freedom is relative. What we call it Antakarana Shuddhi. Vitaragaha. And therefore Prashanta. They are Shantaha, Prashanta. I'll explain this word. So before there is an freedom from likes and dislikes, means there is objectivity. In every situation, they are objective. How to look at, how to respond, how to evaluate. This total or relative objectivity. Therefore, mind is free. There are no inhibitions or blockages of subjectivity in terms of likes and dislikes, in terms of personal values, in terms of one's attitudes. What we call in Hindi, agraha, insistence. This has to be this way, this has not to be this way. So that is the mind that is free from this. Now, when he says, after knowledge, vitaragas, that means the likes and dislikes and the desires born out of likes and dislikes. They are free from it. Meaning thereby, those desires and those likes and dislikes are non-binding. Prajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmana tushtaha sthita prajnastadochyate. Dukheshu anudvigna manaha sukheshu vigatastu vidaraga bhayakrodaha sthitadihi munihi uchyate. They are sthita prajnas. Means what kind of likes and dislikes are abhushana. They are their glory. They are just simple preferences because of anuvritti, because of samskaras, if purvashram or purvajanma, but then they are free. Okay? So that likes and dislikes which binds becomes a glory for them. This is what is symbolized, by the way, by Lord Shiva. You know, Lord Shiva has all the snakes in his neck and all that. That is a bhushanam. He's a naga bhushana, Shambho. He is decorated by snakes. Snakes also, you will see only cobras. And like standing like this. So they are very poisonous. These raga dveshas are like cobras, very poisonous. That when someone is stung by something poisonous, you get you are very uncomfortable. You are very restless. Similarly, this likes and dislikes makes one very uncomfortable psychologically until they are fulfilled. Likes and dislikes caused kamas, also desires. The fellow becomes restless. There is anxiety, and sometimes agony, and there is fear, and sometimes stress and tension, and all kinds of apprehensions, all kinds of emotions. This wise person, that is a snake. Shivaji's snakes are non-biting snakes. The poison, the sting in terms of binding likes and dislikes is gone. They are just simple preferences for vyavhar, for survival, for work that they have to do, and keeping in mind the limitations of the body. whatever body is as a background, what they call it, anuvritti, it follows. Like even suppose there is a person who was born and brought up in Tamil Nadu or Kerala, and at the age of 30, 40, he or she becomes sannyasi and comes to north of India and has ashram over there. And there is somebody who is born in Haryana, Punjab. After 25 years, he took sannyasa and goes to south. Obviously, when this person from south, when he is called for bhiksha and offered dal roti sabji, he will say, chawal anand, give me rice. I don't want dal and rotis. And this north fellow, if he goes to south, there are rice and little less rotis. He will say, roti, give me roti, I don't want rice. That is anuvritti. Upadhi dharma. These are all the nature of the physio-psycho complex. And the wise person knows I am not that. So that is why that vitaraga, non-binding, as it was said earlier in Gita, yes sarvatra anabhisneha tattat prapya shubhashubham navinandati nadveshti, that kind of mindset. Anabhisneha, vitaraga. Then the next word is prashanta. Both ways, vitaragaha, prashantaha, samprapyenam, gnanatruptaha, krutatmanaha bhavanti. They are like that. Or you can say, samprapyenam, te vitaragaha bhavanti, because ragat vishas become non-binding. Prashantaha bhavanti. Now there is a word shanta. Shanta means quiet. And another word is prashant. Karshena shant. One who is very well quiet. Who is totally quiet. What does it mean? Before gaining knowledge, prashantaha, because the mind is free from the hold of likes and dislikes. Relative vairagya is there. So relative pressure of likes and dislikes is not there. I want this and I don't want this. Like extreme expression, I love it, I just want it. And I hate it. That hate is not there, love is not there. Relatively free, therefore prashanta. But then here is prakshanta means what? It is, understand, people think wise person is prashanta. That means he is thoughtless. Experiences divine peace in deep meditation. Now these two adjectives to these two words, divine peace, as though there is mundane peace and divine peace. What is that divine peace? Nobody knows. They just change the tone, change the expression and the eyes as though they are right now experiencing. There is nothing that they have. But anyway, so prashantaha is nothing to do with so-called meditation peace, okay? We are not talking about shanti caused by absence of thoughts. We are not talking about that peace caused by the mind. In other words, that mind which is at peace, therefore I am prashant. No. Even if mind is agitated, I am prashant. And if it is quiet, still I am prashant. Why this is prashanta? Because he or she knows all vrittis are mithya. Pratibodha viditam matam. Any thought form is there is nothing but superimposition of name and form upon me, the consciousness. I am the witness and I am the witnessed also. I am not simply Sakshi. Sakshyam is also not different from me. And the very experiencer, experienced, and experience per se is nothing but manifestation of one non-dual consciousness. That is Prashanti. Okay? So, the mind which can dismiss this, that person who is not identified with all those emotions, the waves and the breakers of emotions, there may be limitations of the mind. That's okay. But there is awareness. This is at the Upadhi level. I am free from all of them. That kind of Prashanti, And therefore, he is relatively peaceful, relatively cheerful. Doesn't get hyped, what will happen? Doesn't get jerk reactions. People give all kinds of emotional reactions and jerk reactions. No, it's okay. As they say, cool as cucumber. He conducts himself because he knows the whole thing is mithya. No situation can disturb me. Yasmin stitona dukkhena gurunapi vichar. One who abides in that self-knowledge, gurunapi dukkhe, even there may be very strong and situation which is very painful, or situation you can say a calamity. He is not shaken because he knows this all is at Upadhi. This is physio-psycho complex. That at the physical world, this physical body, at subtle world, at my mind level, and I am none of them. I am pure consciousness. Therefore, Prashant, relatively unshakable. You cannot shake the person. As a seeker, we should look at ourselves and see how we respond, how we react. I see people, small things. Somebody telling something in the family that the other person just flares. Hey, why don't you see that? Somebody asks, where is this thing? Yeah, then the other person has said, it is there. He goes there and he doesn't see it. And again say, where is it? It is there. Why don't you see properly? Every time you don't see the thing properly, you don't properly. It's a big thing. Small. Insignificant thing. Do we get worked up? Do we get agitated? Do we get excited? That means we need to process it. That sometimes that unconscious, that pattern, your childhood pattern, or whatever pattern you develop, whenever you develop, maybe Purvajan or teenage type, whatever your background takes charge of you. So you have to address that emotional part. That is Nididhyasa. Prashantaha means one who has completely addressed that. And thereby, cool as a cucumber, doesn't get so shaken, doesn't get so disturbed. And before knowledge also, one has to leave the foundation for knowledge is Antakarna Shuddhi. Then teacher and Shrotriya Brahmanishta teacher and Sadhan Chatushta, etc. But to come to Sadhan Chatushta, the first step, one need to have a lifestyle of dharma. So this person has lived a life of dharma, kartavya. So mind is free from any kind of conflicts, no hurts, no guilts, no remorse. That is Prashanta. Just look at yourself. Two things. Exercise. When most of you are studying for 3-4 years, just look at yourself. Do you get so shaken up and disturbed by small things here and there? Do you still have that control psyche? Everything should be order. I can't handle uncertainty. It's okay, learn. It is okay. It's okay. It's uncertainty. So what? You are already 30, 40, 50. It is you pass, the rest also we pass. We'll cross the bridge when we reach. Take it easy. And even if you have reached and there is no bridge, fine, we build. What's the big deal about? No, this person doesn't get shaken like that. That is the strength of knowledge. Nayamatma balahinena labhya, previous mantra. Similarly, this person, and then you can say, you cannot abide in the self if you are a balahina. Atmanishtha balahinena labhya. You can say that. That means what kind of balam here? Capacity to process my unconscious, capacity to handle my emotions, capacity to be introspective and look at my reactions, responses, and diffuse them. I don't blow them out of proportion. I have been often telling this. The difference between a samsari and a seeker and a wise person is only this. Samsari is the one who always blows the thing out of proportion. Unfortunately, I see the modern society, even happiness and some good news, as though they have gained heavens. They react so strongly. And little failures and little uncertainty or disturbance. Oh, what will happen? It goes stressed out and anxious and fear and all kinds of things. So, samsara is the one who blows the thing out of proportion. Seeker is the one that is a vairagya, who cuts the thing to the size. Viewed objectively, it's a situation, as Swamiji would say, it's a difficult situation, but I have to handle. You don't convert into crisis. There is a problem, and I deal with it. Wise person is the one who doesn't cut the situation to the size, but knows it is mithya, it has no size. Whatever size it has, it is in the vyavhara, in ignorance. It has no size. So, one thing, see yourself in day-to-day life. Do I blow the problem, difficult situation out of proportion? Do I just react in small matter in the name of discipline? And then there is a tendency to blame others. How many times I have to tell you? Every time you are doing the same thing. Then you better change. This fellow is not going to change. You say, how many? I'm tired of telling you. It's the right thing you said. You better look at yourself and change. This is how the thing is. Accept it. Unnecessary getting worked up. Unnecessary shouting at our near and dear ones. That means a lot of processing is necessary. Prashanta, those who have processed. And second, you look at yourself. See, Shanti is your teacher. I think I had told you this earlier about Puja Swamiji. I have mentioned, I'm sure, but I would like to repeat it also. When Paramatmananda went to ashram, Sandipani, Bombay, he was Puja Swamiji was Acharya, and there were records, and he had told us not to contact me any which way. So after about 1 year and 7, 8 months, he gave the telephone number and said, you can contact me and talk to me. So in those days in 73, 74, I think, 75, 75, we happened to have telephone with STD line. It was a big luxury those days, but we had it fortunately. So we thought we'll talk to him very leisurely. And the rates were quite high, and after 10 it was quite subsidized. So we thought we'll call at 10. But the system was after 8:30 or 9, all, 3, 4 lines were diverted to Puja Swamiji's phone in his room. So I called him and says, will you call him? Yeah, I will see if I can call him. I said, I am keeping the phone on. You call him. He says, no, it will not come. He will not come. So you wait. It will take some time. Call again after 5 minutes. At 10 o'clock in ashram, there would be nobody outside Swamiji's kutia. Puja Swamiji must have gone out and called the watchman and sent for him in the hostel, and then watchman told him, and then he came. And by the time 5, 7 minutes over, I called again. He said, I have sent the word, but he has not come. Oh, I said, 7, 8 minutes have passed. I didn't know Swamiji. Who is Swamiji and who picked up the phone? I didn't know. Then again I called, he was not there. Swamiji said, I can give him a message. I said, no, I want to talk to him. Please call him. He said, when he comes, I'll connect. So, but then after I put down the phones, Paramatmananda came. So then since after 3 calls, he had not come. So I waited 5, 7 minutes more. And Paramatmananda to sit in front of Swamiji. Those days Swamiji had only one room. And he was studying, so he was sitting in front of him. And he was feeling very embarrassed because that after 10 o'clock and 3 calls and Swamiji himself, I didn't know the background story of it. So after 5, 7 minutes, again I called, then he was very curt in talking. He said, okay. And I said, you give the number, I am calling. Why are you behaving like this? He said, I am in Swamiji's room and we'll talk later. I said, okay. Then he apologized. Swamiji, I'm sorry. Me and my brother disturbed. So Swamiji had a reading glass, so he used to wear like this. So he looked like that and said, do you think either of you have capacity to disturb me? That is Prashanta. I cannot be disturbed by anything. Similarly, as a student, one exercise you look at it. Atma is Shanta Swarupa. But Bhagavan has given us very evolved mind. And which has a buddhi, emotions, and memory too. Now just look at yourself. Do I keep brooding, keep recalling those unhappy memories, those hurtful events, those events where I was insulted or somebody got angry upon me? Am I again and again flashing back to my mind those memories where I was helpless, whatever reason, economically or socially or position-wise or what, I couldn't get the things that I want, or I had to suffer because of my helplessness, for want of resources. Do we keep remembering all those things? Usually, we do the same thing. That's how when 2, 3 persons get together and talk about the one who is absent, they talk about all unpleasant thing about that person. They have to keep talking. 2 persons talk, he did like that, he said, yeah, she did like that, she's like that, she's like that. They keep on adding each other's They make each other wiser about third person's limitations, vices, mistakes, etc. But never remember moments of happiness, moments of joy, moments of contentment, fullness. Hardly they remember. This is Ashanti. We become dukhi of the dukkham. There is a new dukkham because mind projected the whole blessed event, wrote the new script, wrote the new dialogue of the event, and again I become dukhi, remembering that dukkha. So dukhi because of past dukkha. That is not again, past dukkha could have caused a situation where you become unpleasant or painful to you. But there is nothing except psychological. The same, some experience or some meeting, somebody or something, you keep remembering, so become dukhi from a dukkha, which was 3 years ago. Then again remember, dukkhasya dukkhasya dukkham. Unhappiness of the unhappiness of unhappiness. This is called building up. Fear, as Swami used to say, fear of the fear. Again, remember that, project it and get afraid. Then fear of the fear of the fear. Then again fear. This builds up. That's how people become depressed out of fear. Anxiety. That's how they become aggressive sometimes. This is all, we have to look at ourselves. I need to do some nididhyasana. I need to process my emotions, need to process my memories, process my way of, my attitudes, my values, my ideals, my definition of success. All this needs to be redefined and processed. So then only you can become Prashant. Otherwise, when you forget the things, you are Shanta. That's what happens. People want to go to some forest or sunrise or sunset or sea beach because you forget the word momentary. But on sea beach also people become Ashanta. They remember something which happened 5 years ago and then again become unhappy. Quite a few addicts I know, they couldn't handle that Ashanti. Therefore became addict, thinking that I will be free from those pain. Momentary, at least momentary, the momentary, I am happy for that. So, not like that. I never brood as a seeker over my past unpleasant experiences. In the family, usually near and dear one, brother or sister or brother-in-law or sister's son or sister-in-law, something. Husband and wife keep talking, they keep talking about brother is like that, and sister-in-law is like that, and cousin is like that, and nephew is like that. Forget it. They are not with you anymore. They are some 500, 700 miles away from you, living independently. But keep remembering, in that marriage they did like that. In that birthday party, they did like that. And when they had come here, they did like that. When we went to their house, they treated like us like that. Forget it. If you didn't like, don't go again. You have enough resources. Stay in hotel. Forget it. Why you go to their house? But they keep talking and talking and talking. This is called Ashanti. No hurt, no guilt, Prashanta. Then Gnana Truptaha, and he is, he is Uparata Indriya. Prashanta means whose sense organs don't cause any problem to him. Sense organ means mind also. Don't think sense organ means tongue and nose and ears. Mind is a sense organ that I discussed at length. In fact, in sense organs don't create any problem. They are just informers, poor fellows. They just give you information. This is how the thing is. They don't push you to run after that Vishaya. They don't push you to run away from that Vishya. It is never the case. It is mind's fancies that are pushing you. And fancies itself also don't push you. Because since you have extra value for that fancy, about that fancy. Therefore it pushes you. I want it. I love it. I hate it. So Prashantaha means one who has dealt with one's own fancies. People keep blaming sense control, sense control. Don't do that. Don't blame the senses. They are what they are. This is how they are. Poor senses are reporters. They don't have any capacity to even function without you. There is a question of capacity to push you. It is your fancies, your values that push you. Anyway, coming back to this. Prashantaha. Then he says, Yuktatmanaha, yes, Yuktatmanaha, Nitya Samahita Swabha. Prashantaha, therefore Yuktat, that's together. Together means emotions, the emotive person and cognitive person is in alignment. Their emotions are not in opposition to their cognitions, their understanding. So in other words, a spontaneous person, together person, like Rama, when you Duryodhana and Yudhishthira and Rama in a different category. I mean, same category. Duryodhana is another category. Why? When he says, Janami dharmam nachame pravati, I know what I should do, but I cannot commit. And I know what I shouldn't be doing, but I can't withdraw myself. Then you become a deliberate person. You deliberately do what is to be, even if you don't feel like. You deliberately withdraw yourself from doing what is not to be done, even though you felt like doing. It's a purusha. Later on, the person becomes spontaneous. Like Gandhiji was spontaneous. He can't speak untruth. Yudhishthira was spontaneous. He can't speak untruth. Even though he was told to speak and he had agreed to speak, but he already spoke half the truth. Narova Kunjaro. I don't know, human being or an elephant, but Aswattama is killed. So the point is that I become capable to incapacitate myself to do anything wrong or improper is yukta. I just can't be otherwise. Togetherness. If that is there in dharma, with reference to dharma, later on, when you study Shastra, you just can't be otherwise. Shravana Manan Nididhyasana. That will be natural inclination, natural commitment to do Manan Nididhyasana. That is Prashant, Yuktatmana. You can say this also, Yuktatmana means the one who lives in a Vyavaharik world, awareness of Ishvara. 24/7, there is an awareness of Ishvara. So he is surrendered to Ishvara 24/7 because there is an appreciation of Ishvara. That Ishvara is the order. Ishvara is the niyati. So yadyat karma karomi tattadakhilam shambho tavar narayanayeti samarpaya kayena vacha manasendriya va buddhyatmana va prakadeshpava karomi yadyat sakalam parasmi. Whatever I do it, I just offer it. So at a Vyavaharik level, in empirical world, this person is Yuktatma, always united, always connected to Ishvara. No way away, because he lives in the awareness of Ishvara, knows what Ishvara is and knows what he or she is. That awareness is there. And therefore, they become what? Gnana trupta, kritat. You know, Gnana truptaha, kritat. What is Gnana trupti? Gnanena trupta. By mere knowledge, there is a trupti, content. We are talking about a wise person. What about otherwise person? Ignorant person. That person is trupta. Becomes satisfied by what? Bahya sadhanena trupta. He or she becomes trupta, satisfied because of some gain in terms of external world, something other than me. Position, power, money, connection, whatever it is, or physical health, whatever. So anything in the Vyavaharik Jagat gives trupti to people, to Agnanis. This person is the one who gains trupti by knowledge only. How it is possible by knowledge? Because Atma is trupta. Satyam Gnanam Anantam Brahma. I am Purna. I am Ananta. Aham Satchidananda. Shivoham Shivoham. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Fullness. Purnatvam, Purnamada is my very nature. Atrupti indicates sense of insufficiency, sense of some lacking, sense of self-dissatisfaction. When the person discovers Aham Purna, where is the dissatisfaction? Where is something to be lacked? Something to miss? Nothing. In spite of lacking, I am Purna. Because at Upadhi level, I will be always lacking. Body will have its own limitations, mind will have its own limitations, my karma will have its own limitations, even my prarabdha will have its own limitations. So you may lack few things. It's okay. That person knows that lack is not centered on I, it is aupadhikam. Therefore, it is incident. I just happen to have a problem at this level, physio-psycho level, but not to me. As long as I am in Upadhi, there will be some incompleteness. You cannot have a complete Upadhi, except Ishvara, and that Upadhi is Maya. You cannot have any Maya. So, this person is Trupta, because by knowledge discovered Aham Purna. This knowledge gives alam buddhi, sense of enough. Nothing more I seek, because I am complete being. That discovery. In fact, we think that is the expression of ignorance. We think that by gaining this or gaining that, I will be Trupta. As they say in Gujarat, Pashi Nirant, then I will be relaxed if this happens. Permanently relaxed, permanently happy, permanently free out of these problems. It never. Whether you gain money or you gain pleasure or power, anything. Money or pleasure seem to give some trupti, satisfaction, but it's momentary. Exactly like baby feeling so much insufficient, so much incomplete with itself without a given toy. I want it, and I am uncomfortable, unhappy, dukhi, that baby without that toy. And does all kinds of tantrums. Once it is given, trupta, and the happiness born. But that trupti is momentary. Same here. Grown up baby, physically grown up, 27 years and bought a car, low range car, about 7 lakhs rupees, but some small car, or 8 lakhs. And when he gets the key of the car, the fellow had not even had a cycle when he was in university. He comes from such a poor background. And when he gets the car, trupta, as they say, I'm on the top of the world. It's momentary. Navittena tarpaniyo manusya. Shankaracharya says, Vittalabha kasyachidapi kadachitapi truptikaraha na drashta. No one at no time had satisfaction, permanent contentment, permanent satisfaction with any amount of money they receive. They always wanted some more. Same is the case with pleasures. Najatuh kama kamanam upabhogena shamyat. Havisha Krishna vartmeva bhuyeva vivartate. Bhartwari says, our efforts to gain peace and satisfaction by fulfilling desire is nothing but losing whatever little peace and fulfillment that you have. It works just the otherwise, like pouring some oil in fire to extinguish the fire. This doesn't work that way. So, no, one cannot have anything, any kind of trupti through arthakama. Trupti means I don't want anything to be happy because I am honored. I don't want to restructure the surrounding outside, which we often do. Ignorant person always keeps on restructuring and hoping that I'll be satisfied with the new setup. That's a hope. And sometimes he becomes satisfied, and sometimes very shortly he discovers this also doesn't satisfy me. I have to get something more, restructure again. So gnana vijnana truptatma or gnana truptatma, not interested in restructuring the world for himself. He may do the restructuring of the world, suppose there is a dharma or some alienation from cultural roots or whatever. Then he feels like doing, he may do it, but it has nothing to do with the self. I am trupta. I am satisfied, even though I may be lacking so many things, even though I may not have so many things. That is called truptaha. Gnana vijnana truptaha. Dhiraha. Second line. Dhiraha means extremely discriminative, spontaneously discriminative people. They don't have to do effort to discriminate between what? Satya mithya. Nitya nitya. They are prashanta. Therefore, dhiraha. The sword of wisdom cut the things to size and no size. It is so sharp edge that they don't have to put in any effort. Effortlessly, they become prashantaha and trupta. Therefore, they are called as dhira. These people are extremely discriminating. That fire of discrimination is always on. There is no Shitala Satam here on this fire. And there is no Janmashtami. It is always on. It is spontaneously on. And they keep analyzing and see the mithyatvam of the world Mithyatvam of the mind and Satyatvam of self. They keep saying. Then he says, Te prapya, they gain sarvagam sarvatah prapya sarvameva vishakti. That all pervasive in all time. Having gained that Brahman, they enter into everybody. How that is there, we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Namaha. Hari Om.